Hi, I was the original busboy in the 60s. I had going by Melvin, but I hated the name, and I sort of liked to have call my name Jiro as my second child. You have a daughter, married firstborn, because firstborn just everything. Jiro gets nothing. So I came over to Sausalito here, and I worked here in the early 60s, and I love it. Oh, God, it's a woman. The weed. Oh, man, it was the best. But I worked as a busser, and I always worked during the day shift. I loved working the day because the sunshine. The night was more for working for the Gestapo crew, but I wasn't at the Gestapo. So I got along with the managers during the daytime, and I love it. I wish everybody would come back because I'm getting older, and I want to meet more people who like to smoke weed and come over to the city, and we can enjoy ourselves in the park, stuff like that.
That's a cut. That's the segue to me, I guess. I'm going to do a transition to me here. So Jiro came on in the 60s, but I have to admit that I came on there even prior to that. I was here before the Trident was even the Trident. I started here as a busboy. I was 16 years old and went to yacht dock, which is another story altogether, which I won't go into, but also a pretty wild place in its own right. Worked my way from a busboy to eventually, after many years of crying and groveling and enjoying myself immensely, I eventually got the chance to be a bartender, even though I was told by some people I was too tall to be a bartender. But Mark and I, Mark Lomas that is, we proved them wrong and said that you can be tall and be a good bartender too. Yeah. And there's some truth to that story about me slipping in a few drinks here and there.
Right, yeah.
But then again, I think everyone slipped in a few drinks. I will not comment on any of the other more elaborate and perhaps dangerous and questionable activity, because we'll see that for another day. Well, the women were incredible, what can I say? I made a promise to myself early on, never, ever, ever get involved with any of the women in this restaurant. And I failed. Cut! Okay, I'll tell you one that this is not a sex, drugs, and rock and roll story group. There were the stories, the rest of you know, like Janis Joplin and the Rolling Stones and Groucho Marx, blah blah blah. All that's kind of normal stuff. This is a yacht dock story. It was kind of fun, celebrity. I was here, and there was a great cook here. His name was Big John. Big John was a really big African American man, great guy. And this one day, I walked in the kitchen. And Big John says, "Hey, did you see who's out there?" I go, "No." He says, "Wilt Distills." And I go, "Wilt Distills? You mean Wilt Chamberlain? Yeah, did you see him? You can't miss him." I go, "BS, Johnny. Yeah, I could see him. He's not out there." He goes, "Go and check." I go out in the dining room. Not there. I go all around. I go all the way through the whole restaurant. I can't find Wilt Distills. So I go kick in the door of the kitchen to go in to tell John that he's full of shit. And I'm 6'5". I come run full speed, right into this guy's chest. Bam! I look up, and he's got about another 12 inches. It seemed like I had Wilt Distilled. "Excuse me, sir," and he's like, "You're excused." And needless to say, it was just a fun story that Wilt Chamberlain was in here, and I almost ran him down, and he almost crushed me like a bug. The Marilyn Monroe story, well, my father was one of the original proprietors of On Bean Restaurant, the classic French restaurant, which was above the Trident. And among all the different people who would come by there, whether they're sports or movie or politician, Marilyn Monroe came by with, I believe, her agent, and she was in disguise. She had dark glasses, and she was just had the collar turned up, and she was just dressed down, and you didn't want to be recognized. And my father, for some reason, he recognized everybody. It didn't matter. And so he came over and he kind of slides up to the table and says, "Mr. Monroe," says, "I know you're probably here incognito, but I recognize you. Mind if I join the two of you?" And so, needless to say, my father wanted to join anyone's table. Sat down, shared a glass of wine with him, and the rest of the details, since you're putting me on the spot, I'll have to think hard about it. Maybe